What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to CrossFlix, brought to you by Cross Platforms, where we talk about movies and TV across all different genres. Today is part 3 of the Road to Multiverse of Madness. So, let's get to it. Going into Doctor Strange, we've had 10 different movies and TV shows as part of Phase 4, and in today's video, I'm going to be ranking them from my least favorite to my favorite. So, let's get to it. Coming in at number 10, we have Black Widow. It's at number 10 because I didn't not like this movie. The movie was okay. I liked the addition of some characters like Red Guardian, and then, forgive me, but I forget Black Widow's mom's name, and her, and then Yelena. I actually like Yelena a lot, and I'm looking forward to what she's going to do with the rest of the Marvel characters in the Marvel Universe. And I would love to see her meet up and team up with SpiderMan and just make fun of all of his little Spidey poses. That would be hilarious.
Poser, a total poser.
Not a poser. Such a poser.
With that being said, I didn't like what they did with Taskmaster, the villain in the movie. And also just in general, this is a movie that felt like it was 10 years too late. It takes place in between Infinity War and Endgame, and it should have came out long before then. Or if that's where it takes place, it should have had just come out at that time with Phase 3. So I don't know why they didn't do it. They really missed out, and it doesn't feel like it fits in this new era of Marvel and what they're doing with Phase 4. So again, I did not like this movie. It's Marvel. I'm gonna like everything that they do, even the bad ones. But when it comes to Phase 4, it just doesn't fit for me. So that's why it comes in at number 10. Coming in at number 9, we have the TV show Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I like this show a lot, actually. But when it comes to all the TV shows that they've released recently, it's probably my least favorite TV show. I love Anthony Mackie and him as Falcon, and then I've always loved Sebastian Stan as Bucky. I was kind of hoping Bucky would take over the mantle of Captain America first before it was given to Falcon, but I understand and see why they didn't do it, and I'm not mad about it. And Falcon's Captain America suit is awesome. It's like one of the most comic accurate suits that they've ever had, and it just looks cool. But with all that being said, I feel like this is a show where it's very grounded, which I like, but at the same time, I feel like they brought of real life elements and not wokeness, but just a lot of stuff that was going on in the media at the time. They brought a lot of it into the show, and I don't watch these movies and these shows just to continue to live in a minor part of what the real life is. People watch movies and shows to escape. It's okay to touch base on it and kind of to show another side to it real quick, like, hey, this is how it feels, this is what it could be like. And they did that, but then they continued it, and they wouldn't let it go, and they just didn't let the show be the show, you know? Like, it's a show of superheroes. So, like, let them be superheroes. Again, there are certain elements that I liked. It's just, I don't find myself wanting to go back and rewatch this as much as some of the other shows. In general, the show wasn't bad, but I feel like a couple episodes could have been cut into one episode maybe, and it could have been a shorter season, and if the season was a little bit shorter, it probably would have been better. To be fair, I haven't rewatched it since it came out. Just don't find myself wanting to continuously go back and rewatch it, as I said before. So that's why this show comes in at number 9. Coming in at number 8, we have Marvel's newest team, and that is the Eternals. This is a movie that came out November of last year, like shortly before Spider-Man No Way Home. I feel like it was kind of overshadowed by the hype for Spider-Man No Way Home. And also, they tried to fit a lot of new characters and new stories into one movie. And while it was a longer movie, I probably would have worked better as a TV show. Like, they probably should have switched this and Falcon and the Winter Soldier around and made Falcon and Winter Soldier a movie and then Eternals a TV show. Because they could have done a lot more with 6, 7, or 8 one-hour episodes with the stories of this movie instead of just trying to squeeze all of it into a 2-hour, 40-minute movie. I do have to say it does get a lot more hate than it should. I found the story pretty interesting. I like the idea of the Eternals. I liked how they expanded on the Celestials. There's a lot of different things that I actually really enjoyed about this movie, and I do look forward to seeing more of them. I look forward to the future of the Eternals more than I look forward to rewatching this movie of the Eternals, if that makes sense. So again, I still liked it. I like every single character in this movie. It's just not my favorite of what they've released in Phase 4 so far. So that's why The Eternals comes in at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is another TV show that they released on Disney Plus, and that TV show is going to be Hawkeye. Hawkeye was a fun show. It wasn't necessarily a great show. It wasn't necessarily a bad show. It's just a fun show. I like the inclusion of Kate Bishop a lot. She's awesome. And I love Haley Steinfeld as an actress as well. She kills it in everything she's in. And the passing of the torch and the way they kind of did that with Hawkeye and Kate Bishop was pretty cool. And they brought in Kingpin from the Daredevil Netflix show. That was awesome. I didn't really like everything that they did with him in the show, but it was cool to see him. And it's one of those, again, where like I felt like out of the TV shows that had some of the longer episodes, like the longest seasons, this one could have been cut down. There's only 6 episodes in this show, and I feel like there probably could have been 4, and it would have been just fine. Or maybe 5. But you never know. That could have happened, and I could be saying it should have been longer. But either way, it was still a fun show, and I'm not mad that they made it. I actually would have preferred that they kept it a TV show like they did instead of making a movie, which is what they were originally going to do. So I did like that aspect of it much better. Again, just like with Falcon and Winter Soldier, I don't find myself wanting to go back to rewatch it. Like I feel like once I've seen it, like, okay, cool, I don't really need to see much more of it. There's not other little like subtle hints that are thrown in there that I really need to pick back up on for the future, I don't think. It is a Christmas time show. It does take place during like all of Christmas. So, I mean, I'll probably rewatch it every Christmas, but other than that, I don't need to watch it again. So that's why Hawkeye comes in at number 7. Coming in at number 6, we have Marvel's newest Disney Plus TV show, and that is Moon Knight. Moon Knight is a character that I've been looking forward to seeing since I was, 10 maybe. There was a game that came out on the PlayStation 3 called Marvel's Ultimate Alliance. Awesome game, super fun. You could be a ton of different characters. It was back when games still had cheat codes, so I looked those up and unlocked every character and every costume and everything. It was awesome. And Moon Knight was one of those random ones I knew nothing about him, and I was like, who's this? And when I played him, he was just cool. He's a cool character. He's a cool guy. I still didn't know anything about his history or anything like that, so I didn't even know he had DID until shortly before the show came out, and I just started listening to other people talk about it. With all that being said, the show is 6 episodes, and it could have been 8 to 10 episodes, and it kind of almost needed to be 8 to 10 episodes because I feel like for a show called Moon Knight is not in it often. It's all of his other personalities. I hope they introduce the third personality pretty quickly, give him a quick backstory, and then just kind of and show where he's been this whole time, because throughout the show, everybody's like, why isn't he coming out? What's happening? Like, why is he being locked away? Is he even there? I'm pretty sure he's there. But, again, I don't know. It just, a couple of these episodes could have been condensed into one episode, and they could have also just extended the story and just done some more stuff with the persona of Moon Knight, not necessarily with Steven and Mark. So it was okay the first 2 episodes, and then once it gets to like 3, 4, and 5, it's like, all right, dude, like let's get to some fighting. Let's do something. I don't mind story, but sometimes it could still be too much. Overall, I do like the aspect of this show better than the other shows that I have already mentioned. So that's why it's a little bit higher on this list. But when it comes to the character of Moon Knight, all I gotta say is I hope to see him in future movies as Moon Knight, because there hasn't been enough of it. So that's why for me, Moon Knight comes in at 6. Coming in at number 5, I have What If, the other Marvel TV show. It's actually the first canon Marvel animated show, aside from the X-Men 90 show, but more on that on a future day. What If I thought was really cool because every single episode took place in a different universe. Thought that was cool. I liked the idea that the Watcher is kind of like God, literally watching over all these people, and that he can't really interact, and then he waits until the multiverse is about to be disintegrated before he steps in, and it kind of helps out. But I like just how it showed another side of what these characters could have been. And it wasn't not necessarily that I would want to see every one of these characters do what they did in live action that they did in the show, But it's still a fun little thing to experience and watch. Episode 4 with Doctor Strange is probably the best one in the entire series. There's also some other really fun ones, like the episode of what if T'Challa, or the character of Black Panther, was actually Star Wars. I like that episode a lot. I liked episode 1 quite a bit, whereas what if Peggy Carter got the Captain America serum instead of Steve Rogers. That was really cool. There's a lot of elements to this show that I think will be expanded on in later movies and shows. So I feel like this show could potentially set up a lot of what's to come, and it's just a fun time. There's maybe an episode or two that could probably be cut out, but overall, it's still one of my favorite shows and one that I'm most likely to go and rewatch. Mainly because A, they're quick episodes, and B, they're just different stories. So they're different than what we're all used to, and I like that a lot. So that's why What If comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, this is another TV show on Disney Plus, and that is Loki. Loki I just rewatched recently leading up to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and I liked it a lot more watching it the second time around. The first time, I felt kind of like Moon Knight, where it was just a lot of story and not a lot of action, and I'm not a guy that necessarily always needs action, but there are times where it's like, all right, like let's get to it. Come on now. But what this show does in setting up the future of the MCU is kind of insane, and it also connects to previous MCU more than most of any of the other shows, I feel. So it's a perfect balance of relating to the old stuff and keeping the old stuff fresh while also showing something completely new, while also setting up things that are not going to be referenced to until probably 5-6 years down the line, to where we're going to have to go back and rewatch Loki to understand what's going on. I like that a lot. I think that's really creative. And it's the only show, besides What If, that has been confirmed to have a season 2. They introduced He Who Remains, which is a variant of Kang, who's going to be like the next. He's going to be like the next Thanos almost. So that was really cool to see, and that was a big surprise. A lot of people like kind of suspected it, but I don't really think it was expected, and that was cool. This is a show where I feel like the 6 episodes they have are the perfect amount. They don't need more and they don't need less. Episode 3 kind of gets a lot of hate. I didn't like it the first time I saw it because I don't think it's better than episodes 1 and 2. But they do give a lot of background to Sylvie in the show and just kind of explain why she is the way she is. And that's important because she's going to be really important to the rest of Marvel for a long time. And she's important to the show in general. So, overall, with this show, I personally feel like it has the best story, the best setup for the future, and the best reflection of the past. So that's why Loki comes in at number 4. Before I get into my top 3, go ahead and let me know down below what your rankings are of Marvel Phase 4 from your least to favorite, and let me know what you agree and disagree with. And then we could talk about it. And then maybe one day my ranking will change based off of what we discuss. And here we are going into my top 3 rankings of Phase 4 properties. And number 3 is WandaVision. WandaVision was the first Disney Plus TV show that they released. And it was different. It was creative. It was exciting. There was good stories to tell. There was confusion. And every little bit and piece of everything paid off. So like you didn't know why it was in black and white. Why are they in the 50s? Why are they in the 60s? Why are they going like, why is each episode a new decade? When is it going to become serious? Every question you have just either slowly ends up getting answered or gets answered within the next episode. And it was really cool just to see the power that Wanda has and what she can do and just how like and the other movies, they barely touched base on what she could be. Because every time she's in a movie, she's a little bit stronger. But this show it takes it to a whole other level. It kind of sets up the future of some stuff, like with White Vision and Wanda now becoming the Scarlet Witch. So that element's cool because, like Loki, they reflect on the past and they set up the future. I like that a lot. And this show is 9 episodes. It's the longest Disney Plus show that they've had, and I wouldn't want it to be any less than 9. If anything, they probably could have added in another episode. I feel like every single episode serves a purpose, and you can't cut one down or cut one out without it being crucial to the overall story. I like that a lot. And it was just, overall, just a very creative and different thing. Just, there's so much that went into this show, and all of it worked. There's not one part of this show, to me personally, that didn't work. Everything about it was really cool. It was really fun. It was informative. It was interesting. It kept you guessing. And to me, it's the best show that's come out on Disney+. So, that's why WandaVision comes in at number 3. Shifting back into the movies, for my second favorite property of Marvel Phase 4 is ShangChi. ShangChi is a movie that I was expecting to enjoy. I enjoy and like all these movies, but I didn't expect how much I liked it. And that speaks a lot to me because it's a character that I knew nothing about. The only thing I knew a little bit about was the 10 rings and the Mandarin, and they already screwed that up with Iron Man 3. So I wasn't really expecting them to bounce back from it. And they did, in a way. They gave it justice, but they didn't give it the true treatment, which is fine. Again, I'm not too into these characters to care that much. It's just what I had known about the Mandarin before going in Iron Man 3 was ruined. So they at least fixed that a little bit. I really love the Kung Fu aspect to this movie. I thought all the fight scenes were super cool, really fun to watch, and just like if you felt like you're in a Jackie Chan movie, and he always has cool kung fu stunts. Also, it takes a turn in the movie, going towards like mystical and legendary aspects of existence in this Marvel universe. And I wasn't expecting that, and that to me was really cool too. The movie itself also extends beyond the character of Shang-Chi. It's going to be important to the broader MCU, which I think is cool. So this is kind of like the Iron Man 2 of Phase 4. In Iron Man 2, they kind of talked a little bit more about Avengers stuff. They brought in more Avengers. They brought in more people of what were going to be Avengers. They alluded to Thor in that movie. They alluded to Black Panther in that movie all the way back then. So there's a lot of those kind of elements in this Shang-Chi movie that are going to be very important moving into where the MCU is going with stuff related to the cosmos and space of the MCU. So that's really cool. I like the actor that plays him a lot. I hadn't seen him in anything until this movie, and I loved him. I thought he was awesome. Usually I don't like Awkwafina. I feel like she's way too over the top in a lot of the movies that she's in, and I don't know if that's her or the creative decision of the people that are making the movie, but usually not a fan of her, and I loved her in this movie. She was hilarious, and she was involved. She wasn't just like, which I like that about pretty much all these Marvel movies, that the female leads aren't just like damsels in distress. They're actually involved and they're doing stuff and they're helping. They're not just there. I like that a lot. I thought I forget her name, but the sister of Shang-Chi, she's really cool. I can see a spin-off show with her taking over the 10 rings. That would be awesome. This is a movie that I find myself going back to more than I originally thought that I would. And I like that a lot, and that's why this movie comes in at number 2. And my favorite thing to come out of Marvel Phase 4 so far is SpiderMan No Way Home. To me, like there's no way this movie couldn't be on the top of the list for me. It's nostalgic, it's fun, it's serious. There's a lot of times where you're like, oh no, they're not going to do that. They never do that in Marvel movies. And then they do it. That was cool. I went into this movie not expecting Toby and Andrew to come out, even though there was leaks. It had pretty much been confirmed. But one time I believed all the leaks and everything I heard for a movie, went into it expecting all of it and didn't get it, and I had never been so heartbroken. So even now, going into all these movies, anything that says leak, rumor, anything, I just straight up don't believe. And so because I went into this movie with that mindset, I only believe to see the villains and not the heroes from the other Spider-Man movies. I was like, all right, it'll be cool. This will be fun. It'll be nice to see them, but I'm not expecting to. And then the way they did it was just so cool, and bringing them in, having them be like the older brothers to the Tom Holland Spider-Man almost. It was just so much fun, and it just really took me back to being a child. 20 years ago was when the first Spider-Man came out. I was 6 years old. So it's just so cool seeing the payoff of that comeback. I've always said it. Andrew Garfield has been my favorite Spider-Man. I feel like just because his movies were a little bit weaker than some of the other ones, that he just got poorly mistreated. I love the way that he as a person treats the character of Spider-Man. He just respects and values the character so much, and for him to come back and steal the show, every scene he was in, he killed it. And now there's this huge following of like, oh, bring Andrew Garfield back. It's like, where were you guys 8 years ago when they canceled his stuff? What's wrong with you? But without his stuff being canceled, we wouldn't have gotten Tom Holland. And if we wouldn't have gotten Tom Holland, we wouldn't have gotten this movie. So everything does happen for a reason. This movie is a movie that I can just go back to and watch again and again and again and again. It's just so much fun. I feel like the way that Zendaya's character MJ has evolved in this movie from the first movie is really cool. She's kind of like out of her shell. She's talking a little bit more. She's doing a little bit more. That was cool to see. Ned, I've always loved Ned. I thought he was hilarious, and they kind of allude to him being a villain eventually in future Spider-Man movies. So we'll see if that plays out. But also, what I like most is that this is the movie that ends an origin trilogy. So this is the first time, anyways, that I've seen in movies. This isn't an origin story in one movie. This is an origin trilogy. So every other movie that he was in kind of led up to this moment of him becoming the Spider-Man. Because before, he really was just Spider-Boy. So I like that a lot in this movie. And just bringing everybody back, seeing over 20 years of movies and everything come back and all fit into this one movie almost perfectly. It was a lot of fun to see. And I wish I could go back and relive watching that for the first time, because just the crowd eruptions are awesome. I used to hate those, but now I love them. And I'm really looking forward to what some crowd reactions are going to be in Doctor Strange if they do some super cool multiverse stuff. So with all that being said, Spider-Man No Way Home comes in as my favorite ranking of Phase 4. So that's it for me for today, you guys. That is my ranking of my least favorite Marvel movies and shows to my favorite Marvel movies and shows. There's a lot that's left with Phase 4 that'll be coming out in the future. And they haven't even announced a Phase 5, so I don't even know if they're going to do phases anymore, to be honest. But for now, we have these 10. And Doctor Strange will be coming out on Friday. So I'm sure eventually this list will change. I will do another one when Phase 4 comes to a solidified end. Again, be sure to comment what your favorite rankings are of these movies and shows. Let me know. We can talk about them, and be sure to like and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video.